Recently, it came to light that Bazhao, a troubled county-level city in China's Hebei province, was using bogus tax to ramp up its revenues. And then local tax authorities in Hangzhou were also caught imposing a fine on live streaming Queen Huangwei, known as Via. But why are the local governments in China resorting to bogus taxes and intimidation to raise money? Well, as it turns out, Chinese President Xi Jinping is tightening the screws on the provincial governments and is deliberately making them poor to avoid a possible rebellion against his high-handed regime in Beijing. Hi and welcome. You're watching TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm the group founder, Atul Mishra, and in this video, I will tell you why China is intentionally making its provincial governments poor. Let's begin. Chinese President Xi Jinping is a paranoid leader. His regime has committed many crimes against the ethnic minorities, the entrepreneurs, and even Xi's rivals within the Chinese Communist Party. If you analyze Xi's mind, you will find that he is constantly in fear of a rebellion from his opponents, and this is why he takes care to ensure that he is cracking down on them one way or the other. And his latest targets are the Chinese provinces. China's local governments have to spend a lot. They have to foot long bills on building roads and providing clean drinking water. They also had to spend a lot during the pandemic for mass testing, medical equipment procurements, and enforcing lockdowns. In fact, the share of provinces in government spending has risen consistently. It stood at 73% in 1994 and went up to 86% in 2020. Moreover, the central government keeps nudging the provinces to spend more on infrastructure. This is why they end up raising a lot of debt, which complicates things even further. Many Chinese local governments are now on the verge of collapsing due to a major financial crisis. And 2021 was extraordinarily tough. Local governments get 1/3 of their revenue from land sales, but the real estate slump has taken away this big source of income too. Another third of Chinese local government revenues comes from the center, but Xi Jinping is downsizing their share in revenues. Like most communist states, the central government is extremely powerful. This means that the central government collects $1.3 trillion from local tax offices annually, and then it is the Xi Jinping administration which redistributes most of the tax revenue in the country. Xi gets to decide who gets what, and he is not being very impartial. The expenses of the provinces are increasing, but they are getting lesser money. In 1994, the provinces got 73% of the tax revenue, but in 2020, it went down to 55%. This is further eroding their financial capacity. And we are not even talking about impoverished regions in China. Even the manufacturing hubs like Zhejiang and Jiangsu are facing a lot of trouble. Jiangsu, for example, has debt maturing equal to 41% of its 2020 revenue. With all their hidden debt raised through local government financing vehicles, Chinese provinces are actually close to defaulting, just like the Chinese real estate developers. You might be thinking why Xi Jinping is impoverishing Chinese provinces. After all, what will a president get by downsizing the local governments? Well, Xi understands that he could be facing some sort of a pushback from local governments. Last year, some companies had suddenly suspended production in the Zhejiang province. It seemed like a backlash against Xi's disastrous policies that had led to power outages and coal shortages. This was quite a blow for Xi Jinping, as Zhejiang contributed highly to the Chinese economy with a GDP of around $1.02 trillion. Xi also foresaw a rebellion of sorts against his high-handedness. Today, one provincial government can suspend production, so who knows if tomorrow a provincial government refuses to commit human rights abuses on Xi Jinping's behalf. Sad. So last year, Xi cracked the whip on low-level officials and purged 627,000 officials, according to the data released by the Communist Party's Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and the National Supervisory Commission. That's quite a mouthful. But you can literally jail entire provincial governments. So Xi is hitting them where it hurts the most, the revenues. Xi is keeping all the money with himself and is literally rendering the provincial governments spineless. Xi is a bad he.